Think water. Think crystal water. For energy and health, you need to drink water throughout the day. Crystal water is the most consistent and best tasting water in Belize, trusted to refresh you and your family. Think water. Think crystal water. With 11 stages of purification to offer you the peace of mind you deserve, crystal water is the taste you can trust.
Did you know that your Sagicor advisor can help you plan how to make your golden years your best years? Call a Sagicor agent today.
I had a really good time tonight.
So did I.
Life moves fast. Be prepared with Sagicor. Learn more at SagicorLife.com.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Matters. This morning our guest is Professor Clement Sankat. He is the president of the University of Belize. Professor, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, and good morning to all our listeners and all our viewers. No, I'm fine, despite all the challenges of the time. I'm doing well.
You know, there are challenges, but there's some benefits as well. Before COVID, we would have great difficulty. We would have thought that maybe we had to meet in person to have this interview. And you would have had to be in Belize, and I'd have to schedule a time. But because technology has been kind to us during this time, I can speak to you from wherever you are in the world. So allow me to say thank you for accepting the invitation to be on here with us this morning.
Appreciate, and I'm always at the disposal of the press. Not a problem. Appreciate myself.
Well, what I want to do is I want to start with learning a little bit about where you came from, how you grew up, and where you grew up. So please tell me a little bit about your early childhood.
Wow, that takes me back in time. I'm originally from Guyana. I was born on the Crichton coast, which is next to Dutch Guyana. In fact, I tell people when I wake up in the morning, I see the Dutch coastline. So I was away from Georgetown, grew up in a very rural agricultural district, rice and cattle and sugar. My parents were teachers and then head teachers, and through their abilities, they got myself and my eldest brothers all into the best schools in Guyana, and from primary school in the Quarantine Coast, I went to Georgetown for 7 years, and I went to what I then considered one of the best schools in the Caribbean, Queen's College of Georgetown. And that was a school that gave me the great start academically for preparation for university. But just to say that at the age of 11, I literally left home and was staying in the city, which in those days was a good 7-8 hours away from home by train and by boat and by car. So you left home at a very early age, and you didn't go home until the major holidays like Christmas and Easter. Of course, I enjoyed the summers, going back to my village and doing all the things that young boys and young girls also would like to do, being with my family to begin with, and playing cricket and all of those things. But of course, I came from an industrious family, and helping out on the rice cultivation, rice processing. I had a very early induction into the life of hardworking people, ambitious but hardworking people, especially in the area of agriculture. And I think that that set me up for my future endeavors, because I always felt a great sense of the trials and tribulations that farmers go through, the hard, laborious work they had to do to ensure their own success. And they did succeed, but it was a lot of dedication and hard work, long hours. sometimes very repetitive, laborious work. And I myself experienced some of that. And it was always my dream at that early age that I would want to become an engineer to try to reduce the travails, especially of our farming community. I also had one other interest because Guyana is a land of many waters. And I don't know if you've ever visited some of the rivers as large as seas. And because I also lived for a number of years in a very riverine Amerindian community, I also had a great interest in shipbuilding and naval kind of architecture. And so when the time came for university from Queen's College, I had choices. I could have gone to the UK, I could have gone to many universities in the United Kingdom to do either marine engineering or mechanical engineering. But, I ended up going to the University of West Indies in St. Augustine, Trinidad. And there was a propelling reason. I had two elder brothers. One went to study in Germany, and one went to study in Canada. And at that early age, I was 18, I felt I needed to be a little bit closer to my parents. I suspect it's because of a great connection with my parents, despite not being at home. And I wasn't going to leave and go too far because when my brothers left, you didn't see them for years. So I got a government scholarship and I went to the University of West Indies at St. Augustine and did mechanical engineering. At that time, St. Augustine was still a young campus because it began in 1960 and with agriculture and engineering. And then I was one of those graduates from a relatively early period of the St. Augustine campus. I did mechanical engineering. And again, that set me up for a future, a lifelong career, because I really fell in love with St. Augustine and the university and the country also. And when I graduated in 1972, I went back to Guyana for a year. It was a difficult time. You were beginning to see the signs of some of the challenges that Guyana continued to face up to today. 72 and the 72, 73 elections was the first time I voted. And I wouldn't tell you what happened then. These things have a way, unfortunately, of repeating themselves, and they shouldn't, and they really shouldn't. So in 73, I decided, I'm seeing some signs here that I don't really like.
What are some of those signs that you were seeing and why didn't you like them?
Well, I was still very young. I was 21, 22. And the subjugation of people's democratic rights. This was the period of Prime Minister Burnham. The subjugation of people's democratic rights. I'll just give you an example. It's the first time I voted, and I left Georgetown where I was working to go to the quarantine. And that is an effort. Went back there on the Monday, I remember, to vote. And I voted, and then I had to go back into Georgetown. And by the next day, I heard of all the turbulence that occurred, including two of my villagers who lived exactly opposite my home. The Permanent family, two of them were shot and killed. They're now seen as martyrs in Guyana, and especially in that part of the world, because they tried to stop what was considered to be the hijacking of the ballot boxes in Guyana. The army and the police decided to remove the ballot boxes from the place of poll to take them to a central area in Georgetown to count those boxes. And the villagers protested because it was against the rules. You normally count your ballots at the place of poll. And they got killed in the process of providing passive resistance to what the army was doing. Anyway, that was, I think it was probably June, somewhere in there, in the year 1973. Of course, it was also a period one was seeing some of the deprivations that were coming in Guyana. On the what I thought was a very intelligent leader, but one was beginning to see the dictatorial tendencies anyway. But the subjugation of democratic rights was something that really pushed me, and I said I was going to leave. And in that time, the University of West Indies at St. Augustine, some of my professors had wanted me to remain at university, and they encouraged me, Prof, well, Clem, come back to St. Augustine and do your master's there. So with the support of my parents, because there were some financial obligations, having broken the terms of my scholarships, I had to return, and so they had to repay. And my parents were absolutely dedicated to the education of their children. And, that's what came first. Everything else came second or third, but their kids were number one. And so I went back to St. Augustine and I did my master's degree, my research. My first degree was mechanical engineering. My second degree was again mechanical, but as I told you, I had a strong interest in agriculture and how engineering can be used to reduce the drudgery and make agriculture much more efficient. And so the processing side of agriculture interested me. And I worked in the mechanization of the processing of coconuts. One of the specific things I worked on was how do you extract the meat from the shell of the coconut. These are dried coconuts. And, in those days, copra industry was a big industry in Ghana. And I don't see a lot of it in Belize. I know coconut oil is popular, but I think it comes mainly from the fresh coconuts. Copra comes from dried coconuts. You dry them and then you crush them and extract the oil. It was a big industry, many farmers and many processing stations, but it was very manual. And digging it out was difficult. So I worked on that process. And after my master's degree at the University of West Indies, this was 75, I was given a PhD scholarship by the Canadian government to do a PhD in Canada. Again, in agricultural engineering. I had considered once more some options for myself, whether I studied in the UK or where I went to. I also wanted to go to India because, the Indian crops are very much like our Caribbean crops, like our Belizean crops, same things, coconuts and rice. And there were some very good schools. In fact, there was the Indian Institute of Technology in Kharagpur that I got into. But again, it was going to be a far, far away from home.
You seem to have, maybe back then, great difficulty in separating yourself from home. And I would imagine when you say home, because you went to other Caribbean islands, you just didn't want to go to any of these other countries. So you kept your studies and your education for the most part around and within the region. But let's speed it up a little bit now. In 2020, you were appointed chairman of Vision 2020. I don't know if it was in 2020 that you were appointed that, but you were appointed the chairman of Vision 2020 subcommittee on science, technology, and innovation for Trinidad and Tobago, and was the lead author for the committee's final report. We're now in 2020. What were the recommendations and were they implemented?
Oh, that again, you take me back in time. This was the period of well, just to close this, close the loop. I went to Canada and Guelph and I did my PhD, and then without much consideration for anything else, in 1978 I returned to Trinidad to the University of West Indies. They had offered me a job. To be honest with you, it was almost before I left. Cam, once you were finished, there's a place here for you, and so it was. I graduated in August, and by October, I was in Trinidad working as a lecturer in mechanical engineering. And to make a long story short, and I stayed there. I stayed there from 78 as a lecturer to 2016, when I became the principal of the campus and pro-vice chancellor. So none in my dreams, but these are the things that happened to me. I worked my way to the top. And I became truly a regional person. Because when you are at the UWI and having spent so many years, more than 35 plus years, and in a situation of leadership, you travel a lot between the islands and so I became truly regional. Guyanese born, Trinidadian citizen by naturalization, working across the region. And then, of course, I never dreamed that I would end up one day in Belize, but that's where I am. Yes, and that brings me, so while I was at the UWI, I was also engaged in public service. I have never been cemented within the walls of the university. I've always felt as a professor that you need to ensure that your work brings impact to the environment in which you serve, as opposed to being a closeted academician. And so while I was busy teaching, I was also heavily engaged in research, again in ag engineering, in processing of foods, post-harvest technology, etc. And I had a passion that the research that is done in the university must get beyond the walls of the university into the world of work, into the world of commerce. It must help for example, the areas in which I work, it must help our farmers or processors or industrialists. And so I served on public service boards. I was chairman of a couple of institutions. And then I don't even remember the year, the government asked me to sit on a Vision 2020 committee. And they asked me to chair the committee that dealt with science, technology, and innovation. And I think they saw the passion I had with research, because in those days, the word innovation was hardly ever used. It was about research and development. And so we added the I, research, development, and innovation. And that is what the committee was about. And so the main finding of that work was to set up the policies that can drive research, development, and innovation in Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk to you about why UB and why Belize. On that note, we're going to take a break and be back.
Me and my Marie shops in Lake.
Me and my Marie Sharp in Indiana.
I'm in Rhonda Beach, California with my Marie Sharp.
Me and my Marie shops in Kabul, Afghanistan.
Me and my Marie shop at Hertfordshire, England.
Me and my Marie shops in Taipei, Taiwan.
Marie Sharp, world-class products produced in Belize.
I chose Galen because of its strong reputation, great scholarships.
I came because I can take all my classes online.
Because Galen University opens doors to the outside world.
Their course offering in tourism.
It gives me more opportunity to become who I want to be.
If you want to connect with your inner champion to make the world a better place, then Galen is right for you.
Welcome welcome back to Morning Matters. Dr. Clement Sankat in with us this morning. Doctor, again, welcome back.
Well, thank you very much. Very interesting.
Okay, now you are president of the University of Belize. You reside in Belize while you might not be in Belize in this moment. This is your new home.
Of all the places you could have chosen, why Belize? And why did you say, why UB?
When I retired from University of West Indies in 2016, in the middle of 2016, after 30-something years, I never had a break in my life, and I decided that I was going to spend time at home, and my wife always complained about never looking after your home. So I spent 6 months fixing my home and doing all the things that weren't done for 35 years. And she was very happy that I was home fixing things and making everybody more comfortable. But then I recall meeting, and I wouldn't call any names. I was still doing a few little things in the region. I was traveling one day in a plane. I met a Belizean lady who was nameless, but who I admire. And she said to me, but Clem, what are you doing now? I said, I am at home and doing all the things I never did and fixing the house and all that. And she said, well, but there will come a time when house fixing will done, and what are you going to do next? I said, girl, I don't know what I'll do next, but when the house fixing done, we'll cross that bridge when the time comes. And so I think it was around December 2016, she said to me, Prof, Belize needs a president for its university. And, if you're interested, I would put the contact out for you. But she knew me very well from UW. She was a colleague at university. So she knows me, she knows of my ability. She said, you could make something happen here, man. I said, girl, I don't know, but why don't you talk to the people in power there and ask them whether they will consider it, because she said the application had closed. Well, that was the beginning of a conversation. And the next thing was the board of trustees and myself engaged. The chairman was Mr. Harrison Pilgrim, whom I've always felt is a really very good professional in his own right, a good leader. He engaged me, they took me through a process. I had several interviews and all of that. I came to Belize twice, and I had been to Belize twice before. The last time, a few years before, with Vice Chancellor Rex Nettleford. And we were looking at the University of Belize, and especially areas of technology and science, and how UW could help them. But I really didn't know enough of it. Anyway, the net result was that by January of 2017, I was offered a contract to come to Belize. Now, I always had an interest after UWI. UWI is a regional institution, a big one, has done extremely well. I left St. Augustine with almost 19,000 students. And I'm not 19,000, I'm very proud of the work that was done there. We had about 6,000 postgraduate students at St. Augustine under my watch. I always felt that, the experience I've had can work for a smaller institution. This is a time to build small institutions, get them somewhere. And I think that is what appealed to me about Belize. And of course, it was also an agricultural, rural kind of environment that appealed to me, especially coming from where I come in Ghana and all of that. But I didn't know the country. Anyway, I took a chance in 2017 with the support of my family. I think they weren't all that keen, but I had one other choice that was a little bit closer to home. But Belize offered some attractiveness. And so that's how I ended up there. It wasn't part of a plan. It wasn't a dream. I never would have dreamt of it. I mean, the only other place I probably would have landed up in was possibly Ghana. But that's another long story, so I'm not going to go there.
Well, you know what? This is definitely not going to be our last interview. So we're talk about many things as the time goes by.
But as president, you were able to launch a transformational leap vision in 2022. Tell us a little bit about what your vision is.
Well, I'll be honest. What I inherited at the University of Belize was an institution that had for want of a better word, had the title University of Belize. And that's good. That's ambition in itself. But I didn't think that the university was delivering at the level of a university. And that therefore required growth and development. There were too many programs at the associate degree level to begin with, which one would normally associate with a college or a community college. Put it this way. I discovered that the University of Belize came out of 4 colleges: College of Nursing, College of Education, College of Science, College of Agriculture. And while they came together and there was a nice fusion, they really didn't take their programs to the level of a university and more or less stayed there. So the first thing I said was that we got to build this thing to a university level and move our programs from associate degrees to bachelor's degrees. And we made a lot of progress since then. We still have a lot of associate degrees, and there's a need in Belize for that, because Belizean students don't have too many opportunities for tertiary education. And so the associate degree is a good part to the bachelor's degree, what we call a 2+2. And at that time, they had no master's degrees either. I'm very proud to say in the short period out there, we also now have 2 master's programs. So I think the thing that I did, I raised the ambition of the university to another level. And we have been trying to meet those. Of course, one of the other things that is associated with a university is not only the dissemination of information or teaching, but the creation of new information. And that comes through research. And again, the university needed to really step up to the plate of research, which still is in its infancy at the University of Belize. So teaching and research, teaching first and then trying to drive the research agenda. And then I will tell you something that really struck me. You know, I'm an engineer by training. I was appalled at the dilapidated conditions of the university, I must tell you. Coming from the University of West Indies, we take a lot of pride in our institution. You visit any one of our campuses, and you know, any one of our UWI campuses, and there's nothing there that says they're not as good as First World. In fact, they may be better. What I found was a lot of neglect. In the Belize City campus, for example, tremendous neglect, as is Punta Gorda, and even Belmopan. I couldn't believe how badly neglected this place was. And so transformation of our academic programming, transformation and going up to higher levels, the transformation of the infrastructure and the amenities, making this thing look like a university that people want to be. Remember, at the university, many people spend half of their lives there, half at work, half at home, and half there. Academics spend long hours at universities. Must be an attractive place. And then the transformation of our financial system. I inherited a university that wasn't balancing its budget, where its expenditure was greater than its income, and therefore it couldn't be sustainable. So these are some of the things that we had to address, and I'm very pleased, even after this short period, and that we are making progress in all fronts.
Speaking of transformation, were there some programs that maybe you cut and then maybe some programs that you implemented?
Well, I didn't cut anything there. You know, one of the things as a leader, especially when you come to a strange environment and a new environment, is sometimes you walk slowly in some things. So cutting wasn't on my agenda. I'm a builder of things. By nature, I'm a builder of things. So we built upon what we had. So associate degrees, put 2 more years and get to bachelor's degrees. For example, an associate degree in marine biology, but we went to a bachelor's in marine biology. And that's what I'm pushing for engineering, that they have been there stuck on associate degrees for the longest while. I think very soon we'll have our first bachelor's in civil engineering or construction engineering, very, very soon, probably next year. We have to build the labs and the facilities. We've been in nursing for a long, long time. We've changed the name of that faculty to the Faculty of Health Sciences so that we can bring medicine, and we are about to get there. We moved, for example, our associate degrees in pharmacy to a bachelor's degrees in pharmacy. And when you speak to many pharmacists in Belize, they would applaud the university for doing what it did because they were waiting for that. Some of them told me for more than 20 years to get to become professional pharmacists at that level. And so it is, and we have a number of new programs in the works. One of the things I really want to see is development in the creative arts, because this is something that we're very good at in the Caribbean, but we need to professionalize it. We need to give young people a chance to become professionals in some music, for example. The other one that we did, of which I'm really very, very proud, we moved the associate degree in agriculture. You remember that College of Agriculture was started in 1953, still staying at the diploma associate degree. UB now has a bachelor's degree in agriculture. So you can go from a certificate in agriculture to the associate degree in agriculture to the bachelor's degree in agriculture. And we're doing a lot of things in our central farm that was thoroughly neglected.
Considering the situation that we're in, what is being done to maybe develop new ways to deliver education to people?
Yeah, well, if you looked at the transformational plan, you would see that one of the objectives that was set there since I came, and this plan was approved in 2017, late 2017, was to enhance the number of courses that were being delivered online. Because, most of us recognize, or most of us in the leadership recognize, that Belize is a large country by Caribbean standards. And I say we have students. Of the 5,000 students we have, I always say that we are recruiting students from the north, the south, the east, and the west of Belize. And we have all students from all the quadrants. But the one thing that I have also gotten to know is that our students many of them are coming from very disadvantaged communities, that not many can afford university education, because Belize, our students pay tuition and fees. When I arrived in Belize from Trinidad, Trinidadians were not paying tuition and fees to go to the University of West Indies because there was a program called GATE. So they had free tertiary education. And of course, Barbados too, for most of its years at Cave Hill, was free tertiary education. Unfortunately, Mona, the students were paying tuition fees. So I inherited a situation, or I got into a situation where students were paying tuition and fees. So, and of course, there was the university also challenged with meeting its budgetary expectations and balancing its budget. So, both the student needs for us to reach out to them wherever they may be, and our own need to reduce our costs to become more efficient. The online education was paramount. So we have a open distance learning center that is supposed to be driving all of this. We made progress. I'll be honest, we made progress in trying. You have to first begin by teaching the teachers to teach online. And, there's always a little bit of a reluctance among old fogies who are not particularly technology efficient, and I count myself as one of them. But one of the things about universities, the people who are at university, who are working in university must be prepared to learn. University professors must always be continuous learners themselves. And so that is why I can reach out and talk to you, right? At least I know how to put the computer on and do a few basic things. And I usually say to my colleagues that if I can talk to you by online like this, I don't have much difficulty teaching you either, or you teaching me, because it's like you in the classroom.
Excellent. What is the percentage of online classes that you have? Because I would imagine that
the more online classes you have, speaking of the children or the students, really, if they're not children, the students that come from disadvantaged environment, this would assist them because they can now stay at home and get the same education without room and board and all that extra expense that they would have. So to start with, what is the percentage of online classes that you have?
Well, before this pandemic, we had about 16% of our courses delivered online. And I think those were fully online classes. But there are more that are also delivered in a blended way, where there's some online and some face-to-face. That was before the pandemic. So when this thing happened, all of a sudden that we have to close the university, the board, with the support of the board, we took the decision that we will close, but hopefully we would have reopened. We should have reopened on the 20th of April. And that would have, of course, taken the Easter vacation and thing into consideration. So we didn't think we were going to lose much time. But when the government declared a state of emergency, and we were going into May, or end of April, May, I certainly recognize that this is not the way to go anymore. We just cannot be complacent. And so since then, I began the planning work to go fully online. One of the things that we did to make that decision, it was going to always be a difficult decision, because we recognized from day one, when we closed on the 20th of March, that not all students would have access to technology, whether they would have access to internet to begin with, or whether they would have access to a computer or a laptop, or whether they'd have access to both. And we know for a fact that in some communities in which we teach, like in Punta Gorda and in Toledo district, even though there is the internet, it is not always very reliable. So what we did a survey. This all happened in the last 2 to 3 weeks. And that survey, we surveyed over 5,000 students. We got 4,000 responses. And the reality of that, with making this story very short, 80% of those students had both internet and a device. And so that gave us confidence that, you know what? Instead of disadvantaging all our students, let us take the plunge into this thing. Let us go and take that deep dive. We will come off better for this. There's going to be some challenges, but the university will be better off. So we took that decision. And so at this time, the University of Belize is online. Now, there's some caveats. There are some courses at this time we cannot deliver online. Some in the sciences, some in nursing, etc., where you have students have to be trained through an internship, and the institutions that they have to be trained in are closed. You can see the problems. We have a number of teachers who are teaching in the schools and are being trained in the schools, teacher educators. We have students in the business school who are doing internships in industry. You can see they get affected. But so does our science students, or students in their chemistry and biology and physics, etc., in the labs. We had finished about 2/3 of the semester by March the 20th. And a couple of weeks just before that, I was encouraging our science students or science faculty to try to move the laboratory components of their courses much faster, because one was sensing something was about to happen. One wasn't sure. Push your course, push your practical work. Now, some were able to achieve this, but some unfortunately couldn't finish the internships and all that. So those courses are going to be challenging, and that is why those students, unfortunately, may have to wait until face-to-face classes once more recommence. But the answer is the majority of our students are getting a chance now. Some with difficulties because of the technology constraints, to make the sacrifice to learn by the online modalities. And for some of our for all our lecturers to begin to teach online. And of course, if I have to be real, there's going to be a lot of trials and tribulations here. But sometimes you learn by doing.
That is the life. Nothing comes easy. What we're going to do, we're going to take a break and come back with our third and final segment.
I chose Galen because of its strong reputation, great scholarships.
I came because I can take all my classes online.
Because Crichton University opens doors to the outside world.
Their course offering in tourism.
It gives me more opportunity to become who I want to be.
If you want to connect with your inner champion to make the world a better place, then Galen is right for you.
I choose Happy Cow cheese because of its perfect portion sizes, and I can travel with it.
Because it's nice and soft and creamy, and it goes smooth on your bread.
I choose Happy Cow cheese because I eat it with my beans. I eat it with my fried jack. And you know why? Because it's nice.
Most of all, when you're on the plane, you know they only give you some crackers, and you could just take one out and enjoy it with Happy Cow cheese.
I'm Miss Baker, and I choose Happy Cow cheese because it goes well with all the stuff I bake.
Happy Cow cheese. Look for it in a store near you. Distributed in Belize exclusively by Emilio Ahmad and Sons Limited.
Did you know that it's best to keep the lumber stored in a dry place?
At KT Enterprises, all our wood is stored in an enclosed space to provide our clients with the highest quality.
We allow you to personally select your lumber if you choose, and we deliver countrywide.
Be it deckboard, beams, and imported hardwoods such as red oak and white ash. At KT Enterprises, we provide you with the highest grade in treated pine, construction grade plywood, and imported hardwood, delivered to your door.
We continue to build Belize by reforesting its pine forest. Visit us today at 2.3 miles Iguana Creek Road, or give us a call at 671-0114 or 672-0114.
Welcome back to the third and final segment of Morning Matters. Dr. Sankat in with us this morning. Doctor, again, welcome back.
In this segment, I want to start off with
what is your perspective of not only education but especially tertiary education in the future?
Yes, that's also a matter of deep thought, because we have the immediate to deal with post-COVID right now. I sense that my own institution, University of Belize, may very well experience some new challenges in the new academic year, being the first. I know this is happening widespread, but Belize probably more challenged than other Caribbean countries. But all are challenged with unemployment. Lots of people being laid off and parents laid off, and I understand the tourism sector is almost decimated there in Belize, and I don't have to tell you what is happening in Trinidad, the manufacturing sector, the service sector, And to couple it here in Trinidad and Tobago, we have the oil and gas sector. We've seen what happened to the prices of oil and gas. So it's a very, very difficult time. Tourism, manufacturing, agriculture. Well, agriculture could really thrive, but it takes a little while to recover. And then manufacturing, etc. So I suspect that our students, especially those who depend on parents to come to universities, may become even more challenged. I have seen the hardships students face in Belize. I've never seen anything as tough as what I've seen in Belize. Students and their inability to meet their tuition and fees, etc., giving them as much time as we can. In fact, today, my managers were asking me, President, what are you going to tell the students over Belize now that you have online and you're going to have online exams? What are the deadlines for tuition and fees? I said to them, well, this is the most delicate issue right now for me to provide leadership in Belize, but I have to. That's why I'm the president. But we have to use a very good communication and language because the university depends upon tuition and fees. More than 50% of our income comes from our students' tuition, and the balance comes from the government. And that is happening across a number of universities in the Caribbean, national universities, both public and privately funded by students. They're going to run into troubles. We are all going to run into troubles because I believe, and this is sad for our country, that the enrollment might suffer. We might see a decrease in enrollment. We want to see more students trained at the tertiary level, not less. And so it might take us a little while to recover. Now, what are the, we're talking in countries about current policies and assistance to a number of sectors, how we help people, how we help various sectors in this crisis we face. I'm not hearing too much talk about how we're going to help our students. I'm hearing it in the developed countries. I'm hearing countries like Canada making arrangements to help students offset their fees and things in these difficult times. That conversation should also begin, but I know we are in different kinds of countries. But I think the education of our citizens should be at the fore because they represent our best asset, our people. So I see challenges ahead immediately. Of course, we will recover, but I think in the recovery, I think tertiary education in the Caribbean will be more driven by students having to pay. That's a reality for sustainability. But I also think that the education that they receive will also have to be rationalized. That people must begin to see a lot more value for their money.
Say a little bit on the support for the students, simply because I don't think that it is discussed enough, and I think that it is a big need for, especially the students that are already enrolled and may not be able to meet their tuition. What ideas do you have to support them, or in how that they can be supported?
Well, the support, we have worked hard, at least since I've been there, to give these students the possibilities of support. First of all, the University of Belize itself allows our students to make what you call payment plans with our director of finance, that they can pay their tuition and fees in a staggered way. And so many of the deadlines we have put have really been operated in breach, giving them as much time as towards exams. Exams have always been our limits. We give them enough time, and we're still doing that. So the payment plans are going to be there, and the ones that have to meet some very strict deadlines will be those who are about to graduate. Because the reality of universities is that when students graduate and they don't pay up, most never pay up. The receivables tend to be extremely large, and boards of trustees or board of directors make definitive statements to people like myself. I have to report to a board. you cannot have these large receivables. And they were running into hundreds of thousands at UB, which I've reduced. But we need to stay vigilant on it. But also, as I said, as a leader, you have to make decisions. But this is a time when you have to make decisions with empathy also.
Yes.
So that must always factor into the decision making. That's why I'm telling you, it is a real challenge for me now to tell students what are the deadlines for your fee payment, or your tuition payment.
Could this be a time that maybe the university,
maybe the government, to support at least the graduating student? Maybe both of you can hold some of the pain. We can lessen the rate a little bit, and the government can pay for the students that are not able to afford. Maybe you can make a proposal to assist the ones that are absolutely in need. Not everybody is going to be in need, but some people will. Without this payment, they won't get that degree, and they've already invested all this time.
Yeah, and I've been in Belize now 3 years, and 3+ years, and I've already recognized that what we need is a fund for about. I mean, we have 5,000 students, but if I had a fund for about 400 students that I can treat with some scholarships, it would make a huge, huge difference in Belize, because I'm seeing those 300-400 students every semester that are challenged. And I've raised it already with the Board of Trustees and on which the Ministry of Education sits. And I am going to raise this once more. But every time you speak on these things, you get a kind of a reaction, which is true, that Belize is facing its own challenges. The government is facing its own challenges of balancing its budget. The way I put it, countries are facing challenges to balance their budget. Institutions are facing challenges to balance their budget. Parents are meeting challenges to balance their budget. Everybody. So the question, therefore, where is the priority?
Like you say, everybody's in a difficult time, but being the recipient of scholarships, what is being done for scholarships at the University of Belize, and how can somebody qualify?
Well, I would also, it'd be remiss of me not to give the government of Belize credit. They actually grant about 300 to 400 scholarships, tuition and fee scholarships to Belizean students a year. They choose the students. We have no hand in that. And they would pay their tuition and scholarships. So I wish we could do more, put another 300-400. I would like the university to have a say in some of those. But that will help if the government could lend some support, as well as scholarships that we could generate out of endowment and fundraising. You remember this gentleman, Mr. Cacho, he gave us almost a couple of $100,000 Belizean for scholarships. And last year we gave 16 scholarships already through the scholarship from Mr. Cacho, who is a Belizean but expatriate. He lives in, I think he lives in the southern United States. So we need more. We need the DFC, for example, their loan program, and the banks to reduce the interest rates. The interest rates are not very attractive for students. And that's probably why they turn away, or their parents turn away. So we need lower interest rates at this time to see our students through the university.
What is being done, considering that some students may just fall off right now, for whatever the reason is? You will need to attract more students. What is being done to attract more students to the university?
Well, you would have seen that in my statement just a few days ago. One of the things I deliberately put there was that our students are being encouraged from the high schools to continue to apply to the University of Belize, despite all the challenges, because we know challenges with CAPE and CXC. I'm told the ATLIB exams occurred. But even then, once they are graduating from high schools, to continue to apply, that we will use some different metrics to decide who gets in and who will be offered a place. And I think we are going to turn very closely on what was their performance in the high schools, over the years, and look at their academic records there as opposed to only those exams, those terminal exams. So that is one of the things that I'm quite set on doing, that we don't debar our students from coming to university. And of course, now we're doing the applications online. So hopefully it will reach across Belize, but even then you can still drop in your hard copy. So we're continuing to reach out to students and urging them to apply. That the university is there for them, and we will make every effort to ensure that those who meet the matriculation standards, despite not having those final exams, that they're given a place. I think what you need is to give your students an opportunity, give them a chance, and help them to perform. So that's what we are going to do. I am really very, very hopeful that the 1st of August, we see at least the normal numbers of students, new students into the system. I'm hopeful, as I am hopeful that we can see those who are within the system finish successfully and some graduate in hopefully in October. So it's a challenge, but it gives us an opportunity to think deeper and to dig deeper into how and what we do, so that we can help people. We can help our students through the tertiary system across our universities. This is a time for being creative and innovative ourselves, but making decisions based upon humanity. We have been driven in our Caribbean by a system that is really pushing capitalism to a different level. The time I think this COVID epidemic is saying to us, we have to begin to look at the economic systems in our countries and to move a little bit closer to being more people-centered as opposed to profit-centered.
Well, I'm sure that your students are going to be very happy with your final thoughts, simply because they are hopeful that they can get the level of education they want at a rate that they can afford, considering, like you said, not only in Belize, not only in the Caribbean, the world is suffering right now, and like you said, the humanitarian in all of us need to rise up to the top.
I say thank you for stopping and sharing with us this morning. I look forward to another sit down maybe in the near future.
Thank you very, very much. When we get together in Belmopan, come and visit me on campus.
I will definitely do that. As soon as you get back, let me know. Stay safe, stay well, and we talk soon.